One of the things that I would normally ask my students to do if they're still trying to learn programming is to create database applications. If they're going to use C Sharp, I would normally ask them to use MS Access for their database. So for this particular session, I'm just going to show you how to create a database connection to an MS Access database. So if we're going to look at the tree on my Solutions Explorer, you have here already properties, references, build, debug, and I've already added database here. Created a folder called database, and under database, I also created, that's where I actually placed the file a database at a ccdb. Now, previously we have used a MDB for its extension, okay? But I think version 2007 up until the present they use ACCDB. Now, in order for us to use ACCDB, there's still need there are still some things that we need to do and set up. Okay, so what's that particular setup, or what's that particular engine that we needed to install? Okay, let me just try to show you. I actually already downloaded it here, Access Database Engine .x64. So this is the particular engine that we needed to install prior to using ACCDB. Okay, so I'm just going to add also the URL where you can download this particular database engine. Okay, let's try to go back to our program. Okay, now we have it here already. This is I also I noticed also, by the way, that I created several folders. So we have your common, helpers, and models. Okay, so for common, these are all the common files that we need to have, or that I would often use in my application. So, like for example, my DB connection is found under my common folder. For helpers, these are all the different helpers that I would also use. And for models, this is the model, or this is where I can actually create a file wherein it can interact for my form, and at the same time also to my database. So that's how I would normally organize my files, may it be in WinForms or in any other program or any other applications. Even in PHP, I would normally do this. Now, this is actually the method to my Bante. So if you have your own way, it's okay. This is actually just for me to show you what I would normally do. Okay. So I've already also opened my database connection here, or DB connection. So I created a private string called connection string settings, and I have here in I also added it here, DB connection. So this is actually my this is actually where we can set, or where we can try to get the connection string. Now, by the way, we notice also that we have our configuration manager, that app settings connection string that to string. Now, this is where we can establish our connection. So there's a file called app.config. Let me just try to show you app.config. So we have here connection string. Now this is this is the key, okay, inside an array. So that particular file, that particular key is this one, connection string. So connections, add that key is connection string in value, provider, and so on. And this is the path of the database. Okay, so we have here connection string. Okay, that's the whole path. Also at the same time, also the provider. Okay, so now once we establish the path and the driver, we need to open the database. Okay, so we have our connection, OLEDB connection is called the OLEDB connection. Then we have the connection settings, which is this one. And once we have established the connection, we also need to close. Once all of the transaction, all of the database usage have been done, we need to close also the connection. Now, what are some of the other things that we need to set up before we can actually use the database, MS Access database for our C Sharp? Going to your references, you need to have it here, system.data, if it's not yet defined under your references. So you also need to define system.data. So how do you define your system.data? Okay, what you can do is you can just right click here, add references, Then try to search for data. Okay. We have it here, system.data. So this is our system.data. Also, notice by the way that I've also defined here system.configuration. This is not by default added as part of our references. So you also need to take system.configuration if you're going to use, by the way, the app config. Now, if it's not added, it will generate an error that it cannot find the configuration, or it cannot read the configuration string. So going back to our header files, we have here system.data.onlydb. So since we're actually using onlydb, we have it here onlydb. And also we have it here system configuration, because we are actually using the app settings, our configuration manager, then app settings. So those are the two references that we need to add: data, and at the same time also configuration, if we're going to use my method in connecting to the database. By the way, I'm also going to provide to you the code on how to connect to the database, so that it will be easier for you also. Okay. Now this time, let's try to check if it's going to run. Okay, so all you have to do is just click start. Okay, currently it's compiling. Okay, so you have it here, password 4. This is actually the main form. Okay, so I'm going to click search. Now, notice by the way that you don't find projects, password cabinet, databases, tccdb, because I deliberately added letter S. Okay, so if I were to close, notice by the way that under my bin debug, it doesn't contain the letter S after the letter E. So it's actually defined as, although in this part we have defined it as databases, but the actual file name is database.accddb. So there's an error to it. So it cannot find databases. Okay, let's try to remove the letter S and try to run, start. Okay, let's try to search. Okay, so we already have established a database connection. At the same time also we have already added certain values. Let's try to add password 4, sample test. Okay, then let's try to click save. Okay, data is successfully saved. Search. Now we have it here, sample at the bottom. If you have your own method to your madness, it's okay. But I also have, this is the method to my madness. Now, if you have something, uh, if you wanted to do comments on my comment section, I'm very much open to your comments, because it's a way for me to better myself when it comes to programming, or to improve myself when it comes to programming. Okay, so uh, that's it, guys. If you find the contents of this blog useful or interesting, don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button. And if you wanted to be notified every time a new video is uploaded, don't forget to hit the bell notification button. Thanks.